Now that the dust has settled, it's time for me to share my 2 cents about the game. For the most part, I enjoyed No Man's Sky. The first few hours of it, at least. Obviously, it's not one of the best games ever made, but it's a decent one, I guess. That's just it. It's not good, it's not bad, just average. No Man's Sky is an okay game. You may disagree with me on this, and that's totally fine. This is just my humble opinion. There are a lot of misconceptions surrounding the nature of the game. This is not Skyrim in space or an open universe version of Mass Effect. Far from it, actually. This isn't some AAA release with tons of explosions, a rich narrative, and cinematic Hollywood cutscenes. You're not gonna get any of that. This is just an average indie sandbox experience set in a vast universe that looks and sounds great, but quite frankly, one that's a lot more shallow than everyone expected. Before I launched the game for the first time, I came across a letter from Sean Murray that was addressed to game reviewers worldwide. I'd like to share his letter with all of you, as it really helped me perceive the game in the way it was intended to be perceived. Quote, "I feel sick writing this. You are about to play No Man's Sky, and I don't know what you'll think. I know I'm proud of it. I'm incredibly proud of the tiny team that is making a game at a scale that's never been done before. At times, I can squint my eyes and see that we're generating entire planets, solar systems, galaxies on a PlayStation 4, and see that maybe that could be a part of how games are made in the future. At times, I can let myself feel proud that our indie game is going to be in shops, that we have a media kit, that you are even taking the time to play our game when our previous titles might not have. I know I've watched playtesters get totally consumed in our universe, but I've also seen people feel lost. I've seen kids weaned on Minecraft lose themselves, and I've seen some others feel lost. I don't know how you'll feel. I don't know if we can ever live up to the hype we've generated, sometimes knowingly, often not. I know my strongest memory growing up in the outback of Australia, seeing the stars at night and feeling overwhelmed, reading sci-fi and wishing I could escape into those worlds. If for one small moment I can make some people feel that they have stepped through a science fiction book cover, or to think briefly about the size of our universe, then I'll be happy with that. Thank you so much for taking the time to play. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoy. Sean. Before buying into the overwhelming hype and the beautiful graphics, know what the game actually is, so that you won't be disappointed, as this is a full $60 game. The gameplay of No Man's Sky is built on exploration, survival, and commerce. It's easy to lose yourself in its world during the first few hours, but eventually, upon closer inspection, the illusions break down. We were promised that we could do whatever we want within the entirety of a procedurally generated, deterministic, persistent, open universe of unimaginable size, which includes over 18 quintillion planets. So huge, in fact, that if one person spent 1 second in each of these planets, it would take them 585 billion years to see them all. Even though there could be over 1 million people that purchase and play No Man's Sky for months, even years at a time, 99.9% of the planets will probably never be visited. The technical achievement of being able to build a sandbox that's capable of doing this is mind-blowing. And it's the best part of the game. Sadly, however, there's not much else. So much potential in this thing, and that's what makes it so damn disappointing. After hours and hours of going through its repetitive gameplay, you begin to wonder if the game was actually finished before it released. I began to understand the overwhelming backlash and negative feedback, even though I literally tried to stop myself from expecting much out of the game because I really wanted to like it. I have so much respect for Sean Murray and the rest of Hello Games as an artist and as a creator. But now, I can't help but wonder why they released something that failed to meet the standards they promised just months prior. In its current state, No Man's Sky feels like an early access demo that you can get on Steam for $10 to $20. This is a great example why we as consumers should really avoid pre-ordering even the most anticipated games. It pains me to say that I really wish I didn't pay the full $60 price tag for this, because it just isn't close to what we were promised. I don't think it's our fault as consumers that we expected so much from this game and the 15-person indie dev team behind it. Sean Murray and Sony really gave this game an almost AAA level of hype. You can't argue with that fact, you know, with all the press conferences, developer interviews, etc., etc. There's literally a Reddit page with a full comprehensive list of features that were promised to us and sadly didn't make it to the final release of the game. Remember the time when Sean told us that day and night cycles would depend on the planet's orbit around stars and not simple light boxes? Yeah, I was pretty bummed about that being left out as well. Planetary environments were supposed to be relative to their distance from suns. The list goes on, man. When Sean Murray talked about it during interviews, his vision was so clear as to what it was going to be, and we all believed him. Was he too excited about this? I don't want to think that he purposely oversold to everybody. I don't want to think of Sean as the next Peter Molyneux, but if you compare No Man's Sky as it is today to the videos over the past few months, you would understand why so many people are disappointed and angry. Within this universe of supposedly incomprehensible magnitude, you'll chart undiscovered worlds, mine resources, interact with aliens, upgrade your starship, and engage in space battles, though combat is definitely not the focus of the game. That's all technically true. The galaxy is literally your oyster, technically. Even though we were vaguely promised online and multiplayer components, keep in mind that the game is a fully single-player experience, and it is unlikely for you to ever encounter or interact with other human players in the game. The game's audio, including ambient sounds, also uses procedural generation methods from the bass samples created by an awesome band called 65 Days of Static. Players have also complained about the game's tedious menu mechanics, and for good reason. People got upset not because they were wrong and the hype got out of control. People are upset because No Man's Sky is a shell of what it was promised to be. However, in my humble opinion, Hello Games has succeeded in encapsulating the spirit of exploration within this game. If you dive into No Man's Sky for a few short hours and aimlessly play it to relax or meditate, sure, it can be a good experience. But don't expect anything more than that. It draws from a characteristically human desire that is growing increasingly relevant in modern society. As humans, exploration is truly in our nature. The adventure is slow and methodical, but there's so much room for more. It boggles my mind why they wasted all the potential. You'll often find yourself contemplating the meaning of existence as you experience the colorful sights and sounds of No Man's Sky. I found myself questioning why I keep going, thinking to myself, perhaps partly why the game is called No Man's Sky is to scoff at humanity's arrogance that everything is within reach. Perhaps it aims to shatter our imagined self-importance, our skewed perspective of our place in the grand scale of the cosmos. Are we the player or the ones being played? I really wish it were that deep, but it isn't. I hope that in a few years' time, or in a sequel, that Sean Murray and his team will fully realize the potential of the foundations they've built in No Man's Sky. I hope that one day, they would be able to fulfill all their broken promises. Being a fan of the game since day one, it really hurts me to say that this isn't worth your hard-earned money. At least not yet, if you were hoping to play the game we all thought it was going to be. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to talk about your opinion about the game in the comments section down below. This is Paco MNL, signing off.